Hi, and welcome to a Lemonade series. I'm Jaquetta here with Lynne Forrest, creator of the Reality Formula. And today we're going to be talking about how to turn problems into lemonade, and specifically rising above the fray when there is chaos and troublesome activity happening around us. What is that mirroring for us? What is that doing for us? How is that affecting? What kind of lemonade can you make from those kind of lemons? So we're going to be talking about that today. Lynne, you have a specific example. I'd love to hear more about it.
I think of the guiding principle before give you my example when you were talking about rising above the fray, and the guiding principle, the very first guiding principle that we use from the guiding principles of reality is the one that says there are no mistakes, there's no coincidence. Everything that we are experiencing around us, that we're seeing, witnessing, and especially if we have any sort of reaction to it, it's for us. It is for us, not against us, not to us, not at us, but for our growing opportunity, our expansion. Like, for instance, the other day I was at home in my little home, and I heard it sounded like somebody crying, sobbing actually. And I went to my sliding glass door, my vertical blinds there. I looked out, and right across the street from me lives a grandfather. I live in a 55 plus community, and there's a grandfather who lives there, and he's told me he has 10 grandchildren, and he has the infamous granddaughter that he's told me about over the months, and that is into drugs. She lives on the street. She's can't be trusted not to steal from you, et cetera, and she's been sort of the quote family problem. And it was her. She was out on his patio. He was not home. Interestingly enough, I'd heard them. She had spent the night there the night before, and I'd heard on her way out the door, I'd heard him call out behind her, what time are you coming back tonight? And she said, I'm not coming back tonight. Don't expect me. Now I heard that going out the door. But here she was, and he was not home. And she was having a total meltdown because he was not home. Just a total temper tantrum. She was throwing things. She was yanking at windows. She was ranting and railing. And I could just hear the rant. She wasn't saying, I mean, she was making noise, but it was more like, "Arr!" You know, it was just like a 3-year-old in a temper tantrum. And only she's 18, 19-year-old. So a little more damage being done here. And so I'm watching it. And there's a part of me that is like, whoa. I could hear the dialogue in my head as if it were me speaking. And I could hear that part of her that was like, where is he when I need him? And why isn't he here? And how come nobody ever loves me? And I never get what I need, and I'm locked out, and I'm always locked out. I have nowhere to go. I could just hear all of that going on in my own head as I watched her and projected it. Like, this is what her experience is. And then it dawned on me that this was not an accident, a coincidence, that I'm witnessing this, that this is somehow for me. And immediately upon that thought, the next question comes, or the question comes. It says, who? Why is this for me? How is this for me? And who is she in my own consciousness? And it didn't take me long to get clarity around this voice that I'm hearing and projecting onto her. That's that part of me. And I started thinking about all the times, going all the way back to when I was about her age, and never had quite, or maybe, who knows, I don't remember a time when I looked like that, but who knows, she probably doesn't know what she looks like either. She's so into acting out the story. And I was thinking about all the times in my life when I've railed against the what is and accused life. And it's like today, even I recognize that part of me still lives. It's that part of me that's shaking my fist at source and saying, why aren't you here for me? And why don't you care about me? And why am I locked out of abundance, of success, of whatever it is when I go there? That voice looks, sounds a lot like what I was witnessing there. And I knew that I was getting the opportunity to have a private showing, demonstration of that part of my mind. Well, immediately things began to shift. It's no longer I'm judging her, I'm calling her names. There's nothing in me that wants to go out and engage with her or straighten her out. Or I did reach for the phone and call management. I called management for her, not from a place of mad at trying to, but not even because I saw her as a problem, but because I was moved to intervene on her behalf. Because there's another guiding principle that says, oh, it's the same one, that says life is happening for us. So if it's happening for me, it's also happening for her. There's no accident that I'm the one watching this for her. I'm taking action for her because there's nothing in me that says I need to make her feel better. I trust her journey. I trust that this is a moment of intervention for her. It's a possibility. It's the universe bringing her to a place where she is reaching out for something more. And so I called the manager's office and left a message there. And a couple of minutes later, here comes her grandfather. He'd been out on his bicycle. He pedals up, and she is just in a total fit. And he intervenes. And I guess all you need to know from there is that, the next day or second day after he informed me that she ended up in the hospital and that she was getting the help she needs. And again, the universe acts in ways. She put herself in a position, her higher self prompted her to put herself in a position where she would get the help that she needed. And so I not only intervened on her behalf, not from a place of, again, malintention or vengeance or trying to set her straight or make her wrong or bad, but from a place of love. From a place of loving me and being able to identify who that is in me, but also appreciating her as a teacher for me. Appreciating that even as she's showing me that part of me, I am also directing her, playing the intervener for her process to get her what she needs. I did confess to the grandfather that later that I had been the one to call security. He thanked me for that. This is how we begin to use the guiding principles, and that's just the first guiding principle. The first guiding principle that says there are no accidents, no coincidences, and there's a reason for that, and that's the second guiding principle touches on, which says we're vibrational in nature, that thoughts are electromagnetic, and that when we think a thought, it has a charge, an emotional charge that gets projected out, and whatever the quality of that thought is, the emotional response will be in vibrational rightness with it, in alignment with it, and therefore will attract that which will be in keeping with the vibration of the belief that we're holding. And this is only always true. And that is how it is. I was able to see that from a place of going, well, this is a sacred moment, and this is for me, and this is for her, and I don't need to make this a problem. And this is what it is to turn dramas into lemonade.
I love this. And I love to use this all the time whenever I'm seeing a problem or reading a news story that particularly disturbs me. I think, either how is this for me, or who is that in me, or what am I telling myself this means? And I'm happy to hear that she got help. That is amazing.
Yeah, we don't have to turn these situations adversarial. We don't have to turn, I don't need to make him or her the enemy. She's disturbing my peace. I can't even, this is an unhappy neighborhood to live in, and all of that. It's like, no, this came to me for my growing opportunity, for her intervention possibility, it is a win-win. And when we see life like that, it changes everything. There's just no problem. Remember that the narrative, that part of us, the victim ego, I call it, has 3 different voices. And the very first voice it has is the one that is the problem finder and solver. And these voices are built on the victim ego, the voices of the victim ego that is always blah, blah, blahing about what a problem things is. It's operating out of a defense strategy that believes basically that things are not the way they should be, and that I'm not how I should be, and others aren't how they should be, and I'm looking for evidence for that. And so I'm believing that the world is unhappy, scary, dangerous, that people are mean, untrustworthy, blah, 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 rather than they just do what they do because they believe what they think, which is much more true. Then rather than seeing it that way, we see it through the eyes of everything is a growth opportunity. Every moment is happening for my witnessing opportunity, for my expansion potential. And it changes everything because it changes the way we see it. Therefore, it changes the emotional output of what we are projecting out. And therefore, it shifts the response we get back from the world. And that, it feels like magic, but actually it's very cause and effect. And the cause is always mental. Whatever I'm believing will be the vibration I send out, will match the response I get. There will be a match of that. And so if I'm sending a vibe that says I need to find a problem, and that's one of the voices. The second voice is the worrier, is the one who's like, well, what if? Well, what if he gets mad at me if I say anything? Or what if she tears up the building and I need to, what if? The worrier. And that's on the triangle. The problem solver is the rescuer. The worrier is the victim, the one that says, I really am not equipped to handle life. And then the third voice is the accuser. And so these are the 3 voices that make up the victim ego. And so when we catch ourselves in any one of those voices, then we can reach for the guiding principles and turn the situation into lemonade.